this past week, we just talked about it a little bit, about the Patrick Mahomes, who, people were like, it's his MVP to lose kind of thing. Don't you think, with the way he's played and no Tyreek Hill?
He's been awesome. He's got the narrative and the stats to back it up.
Right, especially losing a receiver like Tyreek Hill in the offseason. People were like, I don't know what's going to happen. And he was off to a good start. The Chiefs were off to a good start. And then came Sunday. The 3 picks in a game that should have been an easy blowout. And don't look now, Rob G., but you keep track of this in Vegas.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts, for the second week in a row, is the odds-on favorite to win the MVP.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. And now he opened up the season, Jalen Hurts, at plus 8,000, which
so
means...
if you bet $1, you were getting 8,000?
You were getting 800.
800. Sorry about that.
So, big number. Now, as of, 5 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday, he is the heavy favorite at minus 165, according to our man Lamar Mitchell and BetMGM. That's a huge difference, Rob.
It is. Remember Charles Barkley last week when Chris was saying that still Mahomes was in the lead?
Right.
He disagreed with that. He texted me and was like, no, tell Chris he's wrong. And, Charles loves Philadelphia sports, so he's following Jalen Hurts and the Eagles or whatever. But it is, I think, if you were on the fence last week, I don't think you're on the fence anymore, Rob G.
Yeah,
I'm with Vegas. How do you deny Jalen Hurts? They're 12-1. He had another big game this past week, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have, 3 touchdowns?
Yep, and it was just under 300 yards of total offense. It probably could have been worse if they needed him to, but they bludgeoned the Giants so badly that they kind of didn't even have to. I know that the number looked like they did with the 40-plus points, but if you watch that game, if they really were as aggressive as they normally are, they could have hung up 55, almost 60 points.
That would have been something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, then they would have been the new Dallas Cowboys. It was like, see, I told you, look how great they are. But to your point, Rob, Jalen Hurts, he's thrown for 3,187 yards, 22 touchdown passes against just 3 interceptions.
And he doesn't throw the ball a lot, and Mahomes, but he has, Rob G., how many rushing touchdowns?
He has 686 yards rushing and 10 rushing touchdowns, which makes him the first quarterback in NFL history, not Michael Vick, not Lamar Jackson, not even Justin Fields, who Maurice Jones-Drew said was the greatest running quarterback in the NFL.
Yes.
First NFL quarterback to have 10-plus rushing touchdowns in back-to-back seasons.
Right. It just doesn't happen. And he's done it, and he's added the offense of throwing the ball now, Rob G., right, where you feel comfortable. If you remember last year, we were like, can he throw the ball? Mm-hmm. Remember, it was bad.
That's what happened to them. Wasn't it against Tampa in the playoff? I think it was against Tampa, where you're watching the game, you're like, well, they obviously need a new quarterback. This guy's not the answer. He can't throw the ball past 9 yards.
100%. I don't know how you watched that game last year and not think that's why when, I know they picked up weapons, but when people were picking them to win the division, I was just like, I don't see it.
Right.
And obviously sometimes if you get a quarterback weapons, it changes things.
Absolutely. But you know what makes Jalen Hurts even more oppressive and this run towards the MVP, who I think we both agree is going to win the MVP, just with the way they're playing and their schedule down the stretch. He's going to have more opportunities, particularly against Dallas, to really put on another show. But since week 10, which is the back half of the season, guys are getting hurt, the weather gets colder, the games mean more, so to speak, going down the stretch here. Jalen Hurts has thrown for 10 touchdowns, he's ran in 4 more, and he's only thrown 1 interception.
Yeah, he's coming strong to the finish line.
Absolutely.
It's not like he piled them up early. And I think the 3 interception game really hurt Mahomes. That's a bad day at the office.
Absolutely. And I think it goes to a bigger point, which you've been saying now for years, it feels like, Rob, is Patrick Mahomes, who I think he's the best quarterback in football right now. I don't know if you agree, but I think he is. And the idea that this is his league right now. because how successful his team has been, how successful he's been. They've made a run to the Super Bowl twice, AFC Championship games.
4 years in a row,
Exactly,
right?
4 years in a row. And the idea or the perception is this is Patrick Mahomes' league, and you're going to have to beat him or go through him to get a Super Bowl.
But, yeah, go ahead.
But the on the field, sure. But if you look at the MVP votes, which is what we're talking about right now, that argument doesn't hold water at all. Since he won the MVP, what was that, in 2018?
2018, and that was impressive, right? He won
Very
the
impressive.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson won it unanimously, which I think it was the second ever.
Tom Brady was the first.
Tom Brady was the first. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers went back to back, and now it looks like Jalen Hurts is going to win it this year. But even more importantly, if this is Patrick Mahomes' league, why does he only have 2 MVP votes in the last 4 years?
That is incredible. Well, at least 3 years, right?
3
For
years,
sure.
excuse me. Yes, 3
Right,
years.
for the last 3 years, because
sorry.
we don't know what the vote is, and he might
Right.
get a few votes this year because he's had a really good season. And if Jalen Hurts wins it, Rob G, what does that say? I know, Chris's big argument, I'd rather have Super Bowls than win MVP, which is fine.
Sure.
But you can't say that if you're going to say somebody's Jordan-esque. And Michael Jordan won MVPs.
Right.
Like a ton of them because he was that good. And my only point is, okay, you might say, all right, Lamar Jackson, okay, that was a one-time deal, right? It was unanimous, had an unbelievable season. But then old man Aaron Rodgers won back-to-back during his time, right?
Right.
And now here's another young gun coming out of nowhere who could take another one. And let's just be honest, Rob G. Can we look at the field of quarterbacks, the Herbert, the Allen? You remember?
Burrow.
Right? Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. How many MVPs are you going to win with all those other guys lurking?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question.
For real.
Yeah.
Because everybody thought it was going to be Josh Allen when they scored 72 points the first 2 games. Am I right? This year.
Yep.
He was the odds-on favorite.
I'm with you.
I don't know. Does Aaron Rodgers bounce back next year? Is he in the conversation? You know what I mean? Or is he too old? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, when you start to stack up how hard it is to win an MVP, that's why it's impressive. I know how many? Peyton Manning won 5. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers has won 4.
Well, Rob, let me ask you this. We didn't even talk about this before the show. But if we're talking about BetMGM and the odds, shout out to Lamar Mitchell. If we're going to set the over-under on career MVP award for Patrick Mahomes, he's already got 1 at 3.5. Are you taking the over or the under?
I'm taking the under.
Me too.
I would take the. I know that sounds crazy, but I think it's a combination of the last 4 years because, Rob G, you normally don't get better as you get older. Do you know what I mean? Like he came out with a blazer, got through 50 touchdowns, right, his first season. Mm-hmm. Like this looked like, oh my God, who's going to stop him? He's a video game.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he's more human than we thought.
Sure. And again,
it doesn't mean we're not saying
it's not a knock on
great.
Patrick
You
Mahomes.
think he's the best quarterback?
I think he is. Right. And
I think he is the best quarterback now too. I thought Aaron Rodgers. No.
Cut
I'm
that,
saying
print that, put it on the website.
No, I'm saying right now from the standpoint of when Aaron Rodgers got hurt and he didn't play well.
He had a bad
right.
season.
I mean, he's had a bad season. So I can't. If you ask me who I think the best quarterback I've ever seen, I'll tell you it's Aaron Rodgers.
I'm with you.
Who I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not talking about right here in the league right now. Aaron Rodgers is not the best quarterback.
Sure.
Even though he's coming off a back-to-back MVP.
And it's one of those situations, and again, none of this is to disparage Patrick Mahomes, who we both think is great.
Please don't call up with that.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about.
It's just that, there is this narrative put out there, and Chris is one of those guys who's been pushing it. Nick Wright, obviously the most vocal Chiefs fan in sports.
Kansas City homer. Did I say that? Go ahead.
But the narrative is that not only is he the best right now, he might be the best ever.
Right.
That he is God's gift to the quarterback position. And that might be true. We don't know. But if you are all of that, it's hard to make an excuse as to why you only end up with 2 MVPs or 3 MVPs. We both think it's under 3.5. And it's the same thing that you say about, or I've said about LeBron James, is you can't tell me that this is the LeBron James era of basketball when Steph Curry's got a bunch of rings in there.
He has as many as LeBron.
You know what I mean? Like, I can appreciate how great he is with LeBron James, Patrick Mahomes, and not go so far as to say like, oh well, this is their league, when it just doesn't bear it out like that.
See, I think that's a good way of looking at it, because if this is the LeBron era, Steph has 4 championships, and guess what? 3 of them came against LeBron.
Right, and he's probably
How many?
he's probably closer to a 5th.
No, 2, right? 2 came because they beat who they beat last year. They didn't beat LeBron.
They beat the Boston Celtics.
Yeah. So 2 of the 4.
No, 3 of them, because the first one was against LeBron, and then KD showed up, and they just
that's right, and they beat them twice. You're right.
Yeah.
3 of the 4. I'm sorry. So 3 of his 4 against LeBron, but it's LeBron's league. That's the point that we're making. So